The space probe Odyssey drifted silently through the darkest region of the galaxy, slowly approaching the final objective of its mission, a strange planet, untouched by human footprints or any known living beings. Flickering green lights on the control panel reflected off the tired yet determined face of Captain Evelyn Shaw. She stood upright, her piercing eyes fixed on the screens displaying strange signals from the planet's surface. The silence in the control room seemed to thicken with each passing minute. Every second felt like she was standing at the edge of an invisible storm, ready to erupt and consume everything. "Prepare for landing," Evelyn said in a deep, resolute voice, just loud enough for her command to break the oppressive stillness. "Everyone, maintain tight communication. Be cautious of any unusual signs." Marcus Lee, the ship's systems engineer, nodded, his hands swiftly moving across the controls, checking each number flashing on the panel. "Systems are stable. Everything is ready and awaiting your order. But you should know, the sensors are detecting electromagnetic signals unlike anything we've ever studied. They don't resemble any known life form." In the corner of the room, Elena Petrova, a young biologist, quietly observed the spectral data. Her eyes betrayed her worry. "This planet shows signs of life," she whispered, "but not in any way we understand. There are no signs of plants or animals, only something different. A form of life that's constantly changing." The entire crew knew that space exploration carried risks, but none of them could have imagined that they were venturing into a realm where even the concept of life was terrifyingly alien. Haley, the signal analyst, quickly scanned the data on her screen. "A strange electrical pulse has appeared near the landing point," she said, her voice trembling. "It's irregular. It seems like the signature of an active intelligence system." Evelyn turned to her with a stern look. "Can you describe it more precisely?" "The pulse changes in an unpredictable cycle. It could be a form of communication or warning signal. But the problem is, it's causing severe interference with the ship's systems." At that moment, a soft rumble emanated from the control panel, signaling an anomaly. The air in the control room grew heavy, as if space itself were being constricted by an invisible force. Marcus stood up, his face pale, voice shaking. "Someone or something is here." Evelyn felt a coldness creeping through her fingers, sending a chill down her spine. "We are no longer just explorers," she said. "We're facing something beyond comprehension." The signals on the screen flashed violently, indicating the destabilization of the ship's systems. The wall of green light shifted into a burning red, a final warning before disaster. Outside the observation window, a thick fog covered the planet's surface. Flickering light filtered through the gray clouds, casting eerie shadows, ghostly shapes that seemed to watch the crew's every move. Evelyn's heartbeat quickened, her breath shortened in the suffocating atmosphere of the control room. She knew this was no ordinary expedition. This was the beginning of a struggle for survival from which they might not escape. "Prepare all defense equipment," she commanded, "and stay strong. Whatever happens, we must not lose each other." The air grew so tense that one could almost taste the fear spreading through the room. The darkness outside, like an invisible hand, slowly reached in, brushing against the cold metal surface of the Odyssey, promising to devour everything. She knew, once the gears of fate began to turn, no one could escape the nightmares that awaited. As Odyssey slowly descended onto the planet's surface, subtle but firm tremors vibrated through the cabin. Everyone on board could feel the shift, a sensation like crossing the threshold between the living world and a cursed land. Evelyn never took her eyes off the control panel. She clenched her fists, trying to steady her nerves as her lips moved in a silent prayer. But deep down, she knew, something horrific was waiting beneath that thick veil of fog. "Prepare to open the hatch," Evelyn ordered. Her voice carried both authority and an unmistakable tremble. Marcus, with practiced and swift hands, began unlocking the hatch mechanisms. The metallic creaking echoed in the stillness, highlighting the crew's terrifying isolation. Elena stood by the hatch, her face pale, eyes staring into the darkness beyond the door. "The temperature here is lower than expected, and the air smells foul, like something has been decaying for a long time." Haley, in charge of analysis equipment, set up sensors outside, her eyes fixed on the monitor. "There are traces of unknown organic molecules, unlike anything we've ever encountered. This is truly terrifying." The hatch slowly opened, revealing a thick veil of mist and the faint blue glow from the crew's wearable devices. They stepped off the ship, each footfall pressing into a surface littered with rubble and solidified volcanic rock. The air outside suddenly felt oppressively heavy, almost suffocating. Every step echoed across the barren land like a voice from a dead world. "Something's not right," Marcus said, his voice tight. "I feel like we're being watched." Evelyn nodded. "Keep your distance, and maintain constant communication. Don't take your eyes off each other for even a second." They began moving toward the center of the landing zone, where sensors still indicated the presence of strange electromagnetic signals. Elena stopped, her eyes caught by an odd shape on the ground, a bone-like structure. But unlike anything from Earth. This can't be human or animal," Elena said, gently touching the cold, hard surface. "It has a structure similar to titanium, but it contains organic molecules." Suddenly, from within the fog, a strange sound emerged, a faint, wailing hiss echoing through the stillness. The crew froze, their bodies tensing. Evelyn quickly motioned for silence. The sound was unlike anything they had ever heard. It was a blend of gasping breaths and scratching shrieks. A chill ran down their spines, as if something from beneath the ground, from the darkness itself, was beginning to awaken. "We need to find a safe place to set up a temporary camp," Evelyn said, "not too far from the ship, and stay on high alert." They started moving again, but their steps felt sluggish, as if something beneath the soft earth was trying to pull them down. Haley kept sweeping the area with her electromagnetic wave scanner. "The signal intensifies every time we move forward," she said, worry creeping into her voice. Suddenly, a small explosion echoed behind them. The crew spun around to see a large rock cracked open, and a cold mist rising, like the breath of a massive creature stirring from the depths. "Move, now," Evelyn shouted, urging everyone to pick up the pace. But as they turned to run, a shadowy form emerged from beneath the broken stone, ghostly, indistinct, but deeply unsettling. Glowing red eyes flickered in the darkness like twin flames. Watching them, Marcus trembled, pulling out his automatic rifle. "Something's following us. It's not human, and it's not an animal." The wind howled through the rocky fissures, carrying with it strange sounds, like whispers from a long-dead civilization. Evelyn's heart pounded, not just from danger, but from a deeper, colder fear. "We have to return to the ship and report this," she said, her voice shaking. On their way back, the darkness seemed to come alive, clinging to each step they took, thickening the air. Every footfall echoed like a curse cast by fate. When they reached the Odyssey's hatch, everyone was gasping for air, their eyes filled with fear and confusion. Evelyn stood still for a moment, then silently thought. They had encountered something entirely alien, not a creature, but a living nightmare, waiting to erupt and consume them. And the mission to explore this planet had only just begun. Back aboard the Odyssey, the entire crew still felt the lingering chill of the encounter. Evelyn stood in the command room, her eyes fixed on the dark, murky terrain outside the window. The long shadows of volcanic rock formations rose like massive black towers, as if looming over them, watching. "Everyone, listen to me," Evelyn said, her voice low, commanding full attention. "We have undeniable proof that this place is far from ordinary. Electromagnetic signals, the appearance of unknown lifeforms, and especially those sounds, we can't ignore them." Marcus, the team's weapons specialist, slumped down and wiped the sweat from his brow. "We don't know anything about what we just encountered. It didn't behave like an animal. It was intelligent, hiding, not wanting to be found." Haley, the science and analysis officer, held up a data panel. "The organic molecules we collected are completely different. This could be an alien life form with an extremely complex cellular structure, capable of surviving in extreme environments like this one." Elena stepped forward, her eyes cold but bright. "We need to find out if that creature can communicate. We may be standing on a planet that harbors, or once harbored, a civilization we don't yet understand. The most important thing right now," Evelyn continued, "is keeping everyone safe. We can't afford another surprise." The command room fell into silence, broken only by the steady hum of machinery and the crew's tense breathing. Suddenly, a strange sound crackled through the ship's speakers, a faint hiss. like a distant, whispering voice. What was that? Marcus asked, jumping to his feet. Evelyn tried to mute the sound, but it didn't stop. The hissing shifted into distorted tones, rhythmic and complex, almost like an alien language echoing through the confined space of the ship. Could it be a signal from that creature? Haley asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. Or maybe a device out there is trying to contact us, Elena suggested. Evelyn returned to the control panel, quickly activating sound filters and recording functions. We need to analyze this carefully. Maybe we can decode it. As they focused on the screen, the audio waveforms grew clearer, structured, organized. Evelyn couldn't suppress the chill running down her spine. This wasn't just noise, it was a message, a call, or perhaps a warning. We're dealing with an alien intelligence, Marcus said gravely, and we have no idea what it wants. At that moment, the Odyssey shuddered violently, as if struck by an invisible force. Lights in the command room flickered, and alarm systems blared. Everyone stay calm. Find the source of the tremor, Evelyn ordered. Haley rushed to the auxiliary console, scanning the data. There's a massive energy surge approaching the ship, not natural. It's artificial. How far? Evelyn asked. Just a few hundred meters. It's moving fast, straight at us. Suddenly, all communication systems on the ship went dark. Screens turned black, with only red warning lights remaining. No signals could be sent or received. We're cut off, Marcus muttered. Evelyn felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her. Everyone, prepare for anything. Weapons ready. Hold your positions. The air grew thick with dread. The original hiss now became a constant noise, like wind howling through a bottomless prison. But this time, it blended with moans and scraping sounds that threatened to tear the silence apart. Evelyn walked to the main hatch, looking outside through the thick glass. In the dense fog, she saw shadowy forms shifting, moving, but never clearly. We're being watched, not just by a creature, but by an entire network of intelligence, she thought to herself. Everyone stood ready for battle. Elena warned again. We need to understand where these signals are coming from, or we won't survive. Deep in the darkness, beyond the reach of their lights, the entities waited. They were not mere creatures, but echoes of a mysterious civilization, wielding power far beyond human comprehension. And the confrontation between humanity and the unknown had only just begun. Command deck of the Odyssey was still bathed in red light from the alert system. The air was thick with the scent of burning electronics and something harder to identify, an odd mix of damp decay and cold metal. Evelyn sat before the control screen, eyes wide, trying to focus on the constantly flickering streams of data. The force approaching the ship could be either lifeforms or some kind of networked intelligence, Haley said, her voice trembling slightly as she studied the analysis panel. The electromagnetic signals they're emitting resemble a complex, shifting network designed to evade detection. Evelyn sighed, knowing nothing would be simple. We can't just sit here and wait. We have to act. Find a way out of this trap. There is one option. Elena spoke up, her voice cold but decisive. I've detected a structure emitting a powerful energy signature to the north of the planetary zone. If we approach it, we might discover the origin of these entities. Marcus let out a dry chuckle, his hand tightening on his weapon. We have no idea what's waiting for us there. But if we don't try, we'll die here. Evelyn stood, her voice steady with resolve. Prepare the ship. We're heading north. Keep tight communication and be ready for anything. About 30 minutes later, the Odyssey silently moved through the planet's heavy night. The crew was tense and focused, eyes scanning through the windows, fingers tight over control panels. Outside, the darkness resembled a murky ocean, occasionally lit by strange flashes from crystalline formations scattered across the ground. The dim light reflected off the ship's metallic hull, casting eerie, flickering shadows that moved like dancing spirits. Scanners are detecting faint biological signatures near the forward region, Haley whispered, as if afraid to break the oppressive silence. Evelyn silently watched the screen. Data slowly appeared, indicating the presence of vague, shifting shapes, possibly lifeforms, though their size and form remained indiscernible. Could be the same entities we've encountered before, Marcus said, eyes locked on the display. But they're not as simple as we thought. Suddenly, the ship trembled lightly, the engine noise choking for a moment before returning to normal. Evelyn felt it deep in her chest. Something had changed. "I don't think we're alone," she said softly, her voice barely more than a breath. Elena nodded. "They've been watching us since we set foot on this planet. They can control this environment. They know every move we make." Marcus drew his weapon, ready for a fight. "If they want to attack, let them. I won't let anyone on this crew die in vain." As the ship neared the energy-emitting structure, its shape slowly emerged through the thick fog, a massive form. Dark metallic planes etched with glowing, strange symbols. The structure looked nothing like any human-built architecture. It felt alive, like a colossal organism, breathing. Evelyn's skin prickled as the Odyssey reached the center of the structure. Alarms on the sensors blared, energy levels spiking rapidly. The structure wasn't dormant, it was awakening. "We've activated it," Haley said, her voice filled with awe and fear. "We need to find a way to communicate with it," Evelyn replied. "If it's intelligent, this might be our only chance to understand." Elena began initializing transmission protocols, using the transmitter to send encrypted radio signals built on basic mathematical patterns. Just then, the entire Odyssey was engulfed in a beam of blinding light. It emanated from the massive structure, an unnatural glow not belonging to any known spectrum. The crew squinted, trying to resist the overwhelming brilliance. "We're being irradiated, but it's not radiation in the traditional sense," Elena said. "This is biological energy. It may be affecting our minds." Evelyn felt an unease settle deep in her. Then she heard it, a whisper not from outside, but within her own consciousness. "Do not be afraid," the voice echoed, faint yet unmistakable. "We have waited for you, for so long." The entire crew stood frozen, locked in that strange, surreal moment. Evelyn, torn between fear and curiosity, whispered, "We need to know who they are." And from within the shadows of the structure, a luminous form began to materialize, glowing piece by piece, like a being of light slowly coming back to life. After the strange moment of light and whispers in her mind, the Odyssey gradually stabilized. Evelyn stood silently in the command room, her heart pounding with a mix of emotions: fear, curiosity, and a profound sense of unease, as if something was lurking just out of sight. "We've activated something unexplainable," Elena said, her voice still trembling as she returned to the control panel. "This structure isn't just an inert object, it has a consciousness, or at least some kind of strange existence." Marcus growled, "I want to go down there. I want to see with my own eyes whatever it is that sent us that signal." Evelyn looked at him, her gaze steely. "We have to be extremely careful. This isn't a routine exploration. We have no idea what we're walking into." No one objected. The decision had already been made. They began preparing for the expedition into the heart of the mysterious structure, a place where light and shadow blended into an alien world filled with unknowable secrets. As the Odyssey landed near the main entrance of the structure, a chilling sensation washed over them, not from temperature, but from the air itself, as if life was being drained from it. The surrounding space was dark and damp, resembling an underground labyrinth with metallic walls covered in rust and strange symbols. Evelyn led the group, her footsteps echoing in the heavy silence. Everyone was tense, their flashlights piercing only a small part of the darkness, revealing eerie shapes. "The sensors aren't functioning properly," Haley said softly. "There's interference from an unknown energy field. I can't get accurate readings of the environment." Suddenly, from a hidden corner of the maze, a faint sound echoed, like a sigh, or an indistinct whisper, just clear enough to make everyone stop and listen. "We are not alone in here," Marcus said. "Stay alert." They ventured deeper into the structure. The walls began to change shape, as if breathing, expanding and contracting like a living organism. Strange patterns emerged. Glowing symbols flickered faintly, and shards of glass reflected light in bizarre ways. Then, a cold draft swept past, and for a moment, Evelyn saw the silhouette of a shadowy figure, something that didn't belong to this world. "Someone, or something is here," she whispered. Haley turned to her, eyes wide with fear. "I saw it too." Everyone could now feel a presence, something unusual, invisible to the naked eye but undeniably there. A loud noise startled them. They all turned back. A metal wall behind them slowly opened, revealing a large chamber. Pale blue light glowed from strange devices, casting an eerie atmosphere. Evelyn stepped inside first, feeling a powerful energy envelop the room. The devices seemed to be functioning, pulsating with flickering light like electronic veins running across the walls. In the center of the room was a structure resembling a nest made of metal and unknown materials. Inside it, a faintly moving object rested, like a creature in deep slumber. This could be the source of it all, Elena whispered, her eyes fixed on the object. Marcus drew his gun, stepping closer to guard the group. Let's make sure it doesn't wake up. Evelyn stood frozen. That familiar unease returned. She didn't know if they were facing an enemy, an ally, or something beyond comprehension. As they watched, the object suddenly convulsed violently, releasing a sound unlike anything human, a roaring, screeching scream of terror. "We need to get out of here," Evelyn shouted. They ran out as the wall began closing again, sealing the chamber behind them. Lights in the labyrinth began flickering. Warning signals blared. The Odyssey's systems alerted them. The structure was trying to isolate the team from the rest of the complex. In the chaos, Evelyn heard the whisper in her head again, louder and clearer. Understand. Understand, or be destroyed. Panic set in. Each person was now forced to confront their deepest fears, while the flickering light and shadows danced around them like a predatory force. Evelyn thought to herself, can we uncover the truth without being consumed by this darkness? The scene grew darker as the team kept searching for a way out, while the horrifying secret of the structure remained hidden, waiting to unveil its tale of life and death. The darkness clung to the Odyssey like a living being, as if it could sense the presence of these fragile humans clinging to life within it. Evelyn led the group, her heart pounding not just from fear, but from the weight of responsibility. They were trapped in this cold, metallic labyrinth, its terrible secrets yet to be fully revealed. "We need to find an exit before this structure decides to swallow us whole," she said, her voice grave. Marcus nodded, his grip tight on his weapon. "Every step feels like we're walking into a trap. I don't believe for a second this place is abandoned." Haley, who was bringing up the rear, murmured while scanning her tablet. "Terrain mapping isn't working correctly. This structure seems to be constantly changing. The walls move in ways that defy normal physics." The group fell silent for a few seconds, hearing only the echo of their footsteps and their quickened breaths. The silence was broken by a long, haunting moan from deep within the structure, a sound like a creature in pain, or a spirit bound in eternal despair. Evelyn grabbed Marcus's hand. "We have no choice left. We have to go deeper if we want to know the truth." As they ventured deeper, they discovered a long corridor, its metallic walls covered with strange markings, gashes as if clawed by sharp talons, interspersed with erratic scribbles in an unintelligible script. Their flickering flashlights shone down on pools of black liquid that looked like spilled oil on the floor. The air was thick with the stench of mold, burning metal, and something that eerily resembled the smell of dried blood. "Be careful," Elena warned. "We don't know what once lived here." Suddenly, a strange sound echoed, like a metal door being struck from the inside. The team turned to each other, eyes wide with fear. Evelyn tried to remain calm. "We have to keep going. No panic." As they passed through a large door, the scene before them rendered everyone speechless. A vast chamber, the ceiling disappearing into darkness, with towering metal columns overgrown with moss, and bizarre devices embedded in the walls emitting a faint glow. In the center of the room lay a metallic bed, like a stretcher, surrounded by tubes filled with a glowing blue liquid. Upon the bed, Evelyn saw the shape of a creature, not quite human, yet unlike anything she had ever seen. Its pale skin, eyes tightly shut, and small, trembling body suggested pain. "We've found something. A living being or perhaps something preserved after death," Marcus said in astonishment. Elena approached, touching one of the tubes, her brow furrowing. "There are signs of life, but it seems paralyzed. This body is being held, not just physically, but mentally." As Evelyn stared more intently, she noticed symbols on the tubes, not a language, but a form of advanced encoding, a system of communication through light and sound beyond her comprehension. Suddenly, the bed emitted a soft hum, like a sigh, and the small creature on it opened its eyes. Those eyes lacked irises or pupils, just pure, abyssal black. A cold wave swept through the room, making everyone shiver. Evelyn felt a powerful energy radiating from the being, as if it were trying to communicate. "Stay calm," Evelyn shouted, but her voice cracked as an electric chill surged down her spine. The creature convulsed suddenly, releasing a bizarre shriek mixed with a wail from another realm, shaking the entire chamber. The surrounding devices blinked rapidly as if on the verge of failure. Marcus raised his gun, ready to react, but Evelyn knew this wasn't the time for violence. "We have to listen." The creature began emitting strange sounds, nothing like human speech, yet Evelyn could feel a mental message reaching her. "Don't be afraid. We are seekers of truth," the voice echoed in her mind, nearly overwhelming her to the point of fainting. The group stood there, a silence heavy with awe and dread. Evelyn's heart pounded like never before. This could be the key to understanding the truth behind this mysterious structure. And perhaps, alien life itself. But deep inside, a new fear loomed. If this creature were to fully awaken, would it be an ally, or their worst nightmare? The creature's eyes widened, seemingly recognizing the explorers. And then, from the depths of the shadows, a prolonged sigh echoed again, a sign that the dark night was far from over. And horrifying secrets were still waiting to be uncovered. The room remained cold, yet the air felt heavier under the presence of the mysterious being on the faintly glowing bed. Evelyn stood still, watching its every slight movement, a mix of curiosity and tension enveloping everyone. "We can't stay here much longer," Marcus said hoarsely. "This structure is changing faster than we thought." Evelyn looked toward the door, where their flashlight beams danced across the cracks, casting grotesque shapes on the walls. She nodded in agreement, but first, she needed more answers. "We have to try to communicate with it," Evelyn said, her voice soft but resolute. "This might be the key to getting out." Elena stepped closer, her hands brushing over the control panels around the bed. "I'll try to translate the signals. If we're lucky, we'll understand what it's trying to say." Everyone watched as Elena focused intently on the flickering signals. A repeating pattern of light flashed on the screen, accompanied by low vibrations, a new kind of audiovisual language never seen before. Suddenly, the creature stirred, responding to their attention. Its abyssal eyes flickered with a strange light, like a tiny flame smoldering in the dark. "It seems to recognize us," Evelyn thought, though unease lingered. "If it means us harm, this will be far from over." The sounds from the bed grew faster, as if the creature were trying to deliver an urgent message. Elena, deeply focused, nodded in rhythm as she tried to decode it. "Perhaps it's warning us," she said. "This isn't just an abandoned site. It could be a containment complex, a trap designed to guard a terrifying secret." Marcus looked around, sensing the cold metal surfaces crusted with dust and rust. "We're not just facing this creature, but an unimaginable force." The air grew stifling. A deeper, more drawn-out sigh echoed from the outer corridors, like a colossal being stirring awake. The team felt a wave of energy spread out, causing every electronic device to tremble as if reacting to an immense presence. Evelyn looked at the others, her voice unwavering. "We need to get out of here, now." They quickly gathered crucial data, careful not to trigger anything that might activate traps. The creature on the bed still watched them, its eyes full of both pain and a silent plea for help. As they exited the room, a beam from their flashlight revealed deep carvings on a nearby wall, symbols from an ancient civilization unknown to them. "Why was all of this hidden here?" Elena asked. "What is it that someone didn't want us to discover?" Suddenly, the ship's emergency alert blared. Everyone turned, stunned, to the screen. "We're out of time," Marcus said. "This structure is self-destructing." A series of small explosions rippled around them. Lights flickered in and out, creating fleeting flashes of brightness amid overwhelming darkness. They sprinted toward the only exit they had found earlier. But the structure seemed increasingly unstable, corridors twisted and sealed unpredictably. The final sigh echoed again, like the wail of the darkness itself. Evelyn felt it in her bones. They weren't just escaping a collapsing building, but fleeing from a living entity that now hunted them. Having escaped the ancient structure, they boarded the Odyssey in total exhaustion. But within each of them lingered countless unanswered questions. Evelyn stood on the ship's deck, gazing into the star-filled void, her eyes searching for a glimmer of hope amidst the cosmic abyss. "We've touched a mystery yet to be unraveled," she thought, "but we've also stepped into a war no one understands, and the worst may be yet to come." The final light from the ancient structure faded, leaving behind an empty expanse, filled with secrets and lurking dangers.